Hello everyone, welcome to this session. Our chapter is human coordination, and we're still discussing about the sense organs. So in our previous videos, we've covered some of them: the human ear, the human nose, the human tongue, etc. So today let's move on to the other sense organ. So we'll be discussing about the human skin. The skin, this is simply the outer covering of the body. So this is the sense organ that covers the body. It covers the body, all its internal various parts. So that's the skin. In humans, it is the largest organ of the integumental system. So this is just the largest organ since it is covering like the whole body, and it covers the all internal parts of the human body. So it's basically the largest organ of this integumental system. The skin has multiple layers of endodermal tissues, and the guards the ones that guards the underlying muscles, bones, ligaments, and the internal organs. So the skin consists of plenty of various layers of these endodermal tissues, and these layers are the ones that guards the underlying muscles, bones, ligaments, and the other internal organs. It protects us from the microbes and the elements. So these are just like the basic importances or the basic functions of the human skin. Just protects us from these microbes and the elements. Also helps to regulate the body temperature and also permits the sensations of the touch, heat, and the cold. So these are the basic functions of the human skin. Now let's see these variants of the skin. We said there are plenty of them, so let's see them in detail. So basically the skin has these three layers. There's the epidermis. The epidermis, this is the outermost layer of the skin. The one that provides a waterproof barrier, and it creates our skin tone. So this is basically the outer part of the skin that we can simply see and touch. The second one is the dermis. This is the one that is beneath the epidermis, the one that is under the epidermis, and it is the one that it contains these tough connective tissues, hair follicles, and the sweat glands. So the dermis, the one that is under just the epidermis, the outermost layer of the skin, and the dermis is the one that contains various parts such as these tough connective tissues, the hair follicles. These are just there, and also the sweat glands are also there in the dermis. Then the deeper substantial layer is the hypodermis, that is just made up of the fat and the connective tissues. The skin's color is produced by special cells that are called the melanocytes, which they produce the pigment, the melanin. The melanin is the one that just shows and provides the color of the skin. The melanocytes are the melanocytes are the ones that are located in the epidermis, the outermost layer of the skin. And here the internal structure of the human skin. There are various parts that are labeled. There are the outer part, the epidermis. The epidermis consists of this. Here you can see the hair, and basically there is a sweat pole which you can see in the outermost part of the skin. Then moving on, there's the dermis. The dermis consists of plenty of various parts. Here there are muscles. There's this subcutaneous gland. The nerves are also found here. Also, there are various blood vessels. There is this hair follicle that is just like the ending of the original, the starting of the hair. Then there's also that's just the whole blood vessels. Also, they also found this dermis. So this is the second part or the second layer of the skin. And last not least, the layer of the fat, that is the innermost part of the skin. As it says, the layer of the fat. So basically, it will contain these fats. So there's this also the sweat gland. The sweat gland is also found in this layer of the fat. So of that's clear. So this is just the simple structure of the internal structure of the human skin. Now, the skin, it consists or it contains these various sensory nerves endings, which are the receptors. So there has to be receptors as to be noticed as the sense organ. as we've seen in the other ones. These receptors are the ones that are sensitive to pain, pressure, touch, heat, and coldness. So they just these receptors are the ones that are sensitive to feeling things, such as to feel the pain, pressure, touch, heat, or coldness. When the nerve endings are stimulated, they set up these nervous impulses, which are sent to the spinal cord or brain to be interpreted. So, when these various nerve endings are just stimulated by various stimuli that can be seen or can be detected by the receptors, they set up these nervous impulses, which these impulses are the ones that are sent to the spinal cord or the brain. Here we're talking about these, the processors of the various impulses, just to obtain the given message and to interpret what to be done, or how to feel, or how to just to detect what kind of such feeling. So that's what happens when talking about the sensing of the receptors. And here is the sensory receptors of the skin. So this is just the diagram of it. It contains these various receptors, and as you can see, there are various parts labeled here within this part, the dermis, that is the inner part after the epidermis. So specifically, in epidermis consists of these dead cells. So in dermis is where we see these various receptors. So specifically, before we saw the diagram of the internal structure of the skin, we didn't see these receptors, but here just shown specifically, or they're just shown more clearly, these various sensory receptors that are within the skin. So there are touch receptors. There are also pain receptors. These pain receptors are specifically just outstretched to the epidermis. Yes, you can feel. So this part epidermis is contained with these pain receptors, which are there just to detect if there is any kind of pain that can be inflicted to the skin. Then there is the heat receptors. These are just found under the epidermis. So they're the ones that detect the amount of heatness that can be found to the environment. Then there are cold receptors. So all these, they send the various messages that they can obtain to the brain or to the spinal cord. So the other parts that are just there is within that touching part of the hair, there's this oil gland, and within the hair follicle, there's the touch receptors that are attached to it. Also, there is these sweat glands are just there just to provide the sweating, and here the sweat pole is there just to relieve the sweats. So the hair also that can be found is outstretched to the epidermis, contains these touch receptors. So they are there just to detect the feeling of touch. So that's just shortly about the sensory receptors of the skin. Hope that's all clear. Let's see the functions of skin. We've seen them when we are trying to see the concept of the skin in the human skin. So here, just outlined and explained these various functions of skin. The first one is the regulation. The skin plays an important role in the regulation of the body temperature in an organism. Thus, it helps the organism to keep the body temperature constant. That is, the endothermic process is enabled by the skin. So the skin is there to play a great role in regulating the body temperature of an organism. The second one, that the skin, it manufactures the vitamin D through the exposure to the sunlight. So cholesterol in the fatty layer of the skin, it converts into the vitamin D under the influence of the sunlight. So this is the other part, or this is the other function of the skin. The other one, that the skin produces this melanin that protects the body from the ultraviolet radiations, which they can cause this skin cancer. So that's the other main function of the skin. The other one, that the skin acts as the sensory organ due to the presence of the various nerve endings. So it's a sensory organ as to detect various stimuli that can be provided or that can be sensitive to the environment. Then also it provides the protection. The skin, it prevents the microorganisms and the other foreign materials from entering the body. So as you've seen, that skin is the largest part of the the largest organ of the human body. So also it protects the internal structures of the human body from various microorganisms and the other foreign materials from entering the body. Also, the excretion, the sweat glands, they produce sweat, which gets rid of the excess heat, water, salts, some carbon dioxide, and the urea. So the skin acts also as the excretion part of the body. The other one, last not least, the skin acts as the storage. Fat is also a food store in the dermis. So fat is stored in the dermis. So the skin acts as the storage for the fat components of the human body. So that's all for this session. I hope that's clear. We've started discussing about the human skin as the one of the other sense organs. In later on in other videos, we'll keep on discussing the skin. Specifically, we'll talk about the adaptations of the skin to its functions. So I hope that's all clear for this video, and thank you.